Hey, so welcome back to Born SuperHuman. And today, for the first time, I have a special guest coming back for their second appearance, which goes to show how I value their input. And I've been following Nurse Kerrie on social media and seeing the dynamic work she's doing. And she's got a special announcement to make today as well.
So, what I'm seeing at the hospital right now, I am seeing patients coming in and getting that diagnosis. But what's the most interesting to me is that they'll have a diagnosis and they will have no symptoms. Maybe an occasional cough. I have not seen the patients sick like they were when the COVID first came out or even a few years after. It's just strange. They'll just swab and they'll come back positive and won't even barely have a cough. And then there are some that are sicker that are symptomatic, but it's nothing like we saw in the hospitals when they were murdering patients by putting them on a ventilator and giving them remdesivir. So personally, I see more sickness. I wouldn't necessarily say it's from the flu. I just think it's because of everything that we're being exposed to. We're sicker than ever. We mainly would have to learn about the medications and medications that would interact with certain things. And it just blows my mind that we were taught that. We were taught about the nutrition to a pill, but not the nutrition as a whole, as a body, as a person, and how what you put in your body is what your vibration is. The rates of cancer are up 88% in the United States alone over the last 30 years. Like, what is going on? So we have to have solutions, and we also know that the bioweapon is causing cancer. So that's not a conspiracy. There is a peer-reviewed paper that was just put out. The receipts are in, and so instead of us saying, I told you so, and I told you not to get it, this, that, and the other, it is a time to come together of healing. We need to have solutions. We are nurse focused on getting people better, and there's no judgment. We just want people to get better. We were the ones on the front line in 2020 telling you not to get it, saying don't follow the mandates. But here we are in 2025 saying, hey, what's done is done. We just want to heal the world. We are here to live together, to love, to create, to heal, and just to get through this next. This is a little bit of a war as more and more come down with this big diagnosis. It shows that these patients are having their cancer reversed, go into remission, and not come back, and there's no side effects that are being reported. What I traditionally see in the hospital setting is patients that are urinating on themselves, they're defecating on themselves, they can't eat, they're bedridden and they're not able to work. They lose their dignity in the hospital. Then they're being subjected to all of these toxic chemicals that are literally, I'm watching them die in front of me. It's so inhumane, which is the reason why it's so difficult.
I'm Dan Metcalfe. Thank you for tuning into the Born SuperHuman podcast. I'm so proud of the guests and stories that we bring to you, and I know that you'll enjoy what we have ahead. Please like, subscribe, and follow. It really makes a huge difference in our ability to continue these conversations being brought to you. And if you feel the passion behind Born SuperHuman, please share it with your friends and family and leave a comment. I read every one. Now, let's get on with the show. Hey, so welcome back to Born SuperHuman. And today, for the first time, I have a special guest coming back for their second appearance, which goes to show how I value their input. And I've been following Nurse Kerrie on social media and seeing the dynamic work she's doing. And she's got a special announcement to make today as well. So before we get to that, let me welcome back Nurse Kerrie.
Hello, Dan. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
It's such an honor to be able to work and speak with you. Thank you so much for your time. And you are the OG. You are the OG Instagram follower. So, and I love how we connected, and I just love watching everything flourish. So,
yeah, and back the other way. For people that don't know, I actually saw a post that you had made on Instagram
Yeah.
that was so true, so honest, in the progression of what's happening with the health industry. And I reached out to you and said, would you come on my podcast? Because I could tell from the way you wrote the knowledge that you had, but also the courage that you had to stand up and say what we're actually living isn't the best direction. And I know it almost cost you your job. I know there was, a lot of controversy that went not just from the podcast, but from your direction. And now I'm so excited to have you back again because I've been seeing what you're doing with cancer, which is dynamic and the people you're working with. But before we get to that, I'd love to just go back and talk about COVID really quickly because we're coming back into the flu season. We're coming back into
Hmm.
what now is being deemed as COVID. Before flu became COVID, and then they changed the numbers. No conspiracy theory. What's the latest with COVID?
So, what I'm seeing at the hospital right now, I am seeing patients coming in and getting that diagnosis. But what's the most interesting to me is that they'll have a diagnosis and they will have no symptoms. Maybe an occasional cough. I have not seen the patients sick like they were when the COVID first came out, or even a few years after. It's just strange. They'll just swab and they'll come back positive and won't even barely have a cough. And then there are some that are sicker that are symptomatic, but it's nothing like we saw in the hospitals when they were murdering patients by putting them on a ventilator and giving them remdesivir. So, um, yeah, so we are having a quite an influx of patients, not just with COVID, but just coming into the hospitals. Everybody in America is sick right now, unfortunately. And so we are holding quite a bit of individuals in the emergency department because there's simply no beds in the hospital. Not that there's not enough staff, there's plenty of staff. It's just we don't have the space to put everybody.
Yeah, I saw a commercial on TV. Dr. Drew, he's now promoting a product about the home cabinet, medicine cabinet that has ivermectin and all these, and they say, read the symptoms and take this. It's almost like
Right.
self-diagnosis. Is it really that bad this year? Because they said there's more flu and sickness now than usual.
Personally, I see more sickness. I wouldn't necessarily say it's from the flu. I just think it's because of everything that we're being exposed to. We're sicker than ever. And then if we also remember that there was a bioweapon that was unleashed here around the world, and a lot of individuals are having symptoms that they cannot pinpoint. They just don't feel well, and they come into the hospital. They're getting a very expensive workup when all I have to do is just look at somebody and say that's probably because of the COVID vaccine, because, well, it's not a vaccine. We know it's a bioweapon, but because they're just having non-specific symptoms. They're trying to get to the bottom of why they're not feeling so well and seeing specialist after specialist after specialist, and the bills are racking up. And then at the end of the day, they're just being told they're giving an autoimmune diagnosis after that huge workup that's costing all kinds of money and putting people into bankruptcy. So I'm seeing, let me give another example. I had a patient last week and I was getting a report from the off-going nurse. And she was telling me that, okay, the patient's on a heparin drip and, he keeps getting clots in his legs and they just don't know why he keeps getting clots. So they're going to be running some genetic testing on him. And I took one look at the patient and I looked at that nurse and I said, well, has he been vaccinated against COVID-19? And just the look on her face was, she just couldn't even, she didn't understand the question I just asked. She was really surprised by the question. And then the first thing out of the patient's mouth was, thank you. It's been nothing but problems since then. So I truly believe that it's a combination of reasons why we're seeing so many sick people. I think it's obviously what we were just talking about with the bioweapon, but all of the toxins that we're exposed to, that's in our air, that's in our food, that's in because of the soil not being what it used to be 100 years ago. It's completely been stripped. and just the products that people use every day. They wash their hands with soap that they don't think twice that might have cancer-causing chemicals in it. And then the first thing everybody does, the ones that are programmed, is they want to cover their body with toxic sunscreen to go out in the sun for 10 minutes because that's what we've been programmed to do. So there's just so many things around us. And of course, the EMF as well. There's just a lot of contributing factors, and our bodies. That's why it's important to continuously detox so that you can keep your body up to its max potential. So I just think it's a combination of things, honestly. And it's the reason why the hospitals stay full. It's definitely busier now than it was pre-COVID, hands down.
Yeah, it's fascinating when you look back because I'm working with this incredible scientist, Thomas, who's going to come on the podcast soon. And he's from Norway, has an incredible protocol. He's actually working out of Malibu right now.
Right.
He's talking about in Norway how 98% of people had the COVID vaccination the first time through, and how so many were dying, but the ones that were surviving were the ones that were sent home from the hospital and the typical, hydrate, sleep, try and eat well if you can, but rest. And when they had the second booster, or the first booster, the second shot come around, I think it was 99% didn't take it. And
Wow.
there were almost no deaths. And that's what's incredible when people turn around and say it's a conspiracy theory. Well, look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. And so
No.
would you say now if somebody has COVID or contracts it or gets, tested and shows they have COVID, what would your best protocol be being a nurse, dealing with thousands of people with COVID? What would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them first off to don't get tested for COVID. I don't know. Everyone seems programmed. I still see individuals posting on social media. Well, what should I do for COVID? I went and got the test and I know I have COVID. And my first thought is, why are you putting that up your nose? First off, we don't know what chemicals are in that and what we're being subjected to. And I think people just lost their minds during COVID. Like everyone wants to run out and get a test when we know the symptoms that you feel bad, you have a fever, you just are achy, and you might just have aches and pains, headaches. Um, Again, don't go get the test. And my first thing, what I started doing is because I have been sick twice since I found out about the great use of ivermectin. So I have ivermectin on hand, and the last time I started having flu symptoms was earlier this year. And I took the ivermectin, and within 12 hours, I started noticing that I felt better. And just again, increasing your fluids, adding electrolytes to your fluids, because that's another thing people are programmed. Drink tons of water, but then nobody's told the importance of putting minerals back in your water so that you're not urinating out sodiums and potassiums and all of the things that you need for your body to function properly, especially when it's under stress. And another thing I would say is don't sit inside. I know if you can, when you don't feel well, you want to be in your bed, but if you can get outside and just get in that sunlight is so good for you. It's so natural, and it just makes you feel good, and it helps keep your circadian rhythm in balance. And then if you, nutrition is obviously important. If you can do, lots of fruits and things to kind of help with that. But I know again, when you don't feel good, you don't want to eat. So as long as you're staying hydrated, that's the important part, and keeping your electrolytes at bay. And then as far as the fever goes, I think the best thing to do would be getting a tepid bath, or you can put ice packs under your armpits and then your groin areas. Those things will naturally cool your body down. So I find that helps too. But I have to say that the real hammer on it is the ivermectin. That's what I have started trying, and it works. And I wish I had it during 2020 when we were told that the hydrochloroquine and the ivermectin, it was all a conspiracy. It was going to kill your liver. It was horse paste. It was this, it was that. I really believe that the first time I had COVID, I did have long COVID from it because I literally could not pick up my bed off or head off the bed for several days. And when I finally could get dragged to a freestanding ER, I did not let them radiate me. I did let them medicate me because I was desperate. It was the worst headache I'd have ever had in my life. And I used to suffer from migraines and the fatigue. I would just get up to go to the bathroom and I was just tired just from getting up to go pee. And I would drag myself just like go right back to sleep and sleep for another 14 hours.
Mm.
It was the worst I have ever felt in my life from any kind of a virus. And for about 6 months, I was fatigued. I felt terrible. And then finally, I just realized I had to just get my health in order because this was no way to live. So I think a lot of it too was a combination with my sarcoid. But those are some things I would say to do. They're really simple things that you can do. And yeah, just take that for what you want, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny because when you look back to the late 1800s, early 1900s, hospitals used to put beds on the roof and send people up during the day to see the
Yes.
sun. And then
Yes.
suddenly got told, and now I will say if you burn, don't go and sit in the sun at midday, but
Right.
like 9 a.m. and 10:30 in the morning, and then from like 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock at night. It's a great time to be out in the sun because we know it's a natural heater. But I have to share a story with you. I've had COVID five
Yes.
times. And
Wow.
the first time I got it, 100% agree with you. My headache was the worst I'd ever had. I started getting cramping in my calf muscles where it
Hmm.
felt like they were going to explode. Obviously, I had, the sore throat, the runny nose. But there's a product out there that I'm going to be bringing on the podcast that you're going to fall in love with. It's by a scientist who has been studying coronavirus for 27 years. The guy's a genius. So I called up the company, the CEO is a very good friend of mine, and I said, look, I just got COVID. He goes, Dan, we got something for it. And I said, what is it? So they Ubered it to me. I took it. It's called anti-vid, but the government told them, if you try and sell this, we're going to shut you down. And so they weren't allowed to do it. Well, they sent it to me anyway. And I took it. Within 4 days, I was completely good. Nothing. I was still a little tired, but no brain,
Right.
no there. And 2 weeks to the day, so 14 days after I contracted it, I ran my fastest mile that I've run in 15 years. I couldn't believe it. When I
Whoa.
finished, I wasn't out of breath. My muscles were tired because
No
I exercised, but
way.
I wasn't out of breath. And this increases the VO2 max. It's incredible, and it's all natural. There's
Okay.
not one drug in it. So I'm excited to share it with you and everybody out there. It really
Yes.
works, and I've used it every time. The 5 times I had COVID, and within 3 days now, I'm completely clear of any symptoms and back to full health. All
That's
natural.
awesome. Is
So
it a liquid?
it's actually you inhale it. So
Oh, okay.
and it's not one, there's not one drug in it. It's all 100% natural, which is
Wow.
incredible. But we'll
I
talk
love that.
more.
Sure.
Um, so you've gone through that. Thank you for the advice because I know people are going through the sixth season, and it
Yep.
sounds like you kind of treat COVID the same way as you treat the flu, pretty much. Right or not?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same symptoms. It's anytime you have a virus, it's just symptom management. So again, just look at the symptoms you're having and treat accordingly. Everybody just wants to automatically get on an antibiotic right away if they have a cough or sniffles for 3 days. It's like people want to go to the doctor and feel like they're coming back with something. And so these doctors will literally just write them a prescription. That way they feel like they're getting something when they leave the office. It's crazy, the thinking. So antibiotics, they serve their purpose when you truly need them, but we definitely have an overuse of them. And I know people are anxious to start feeling better quicker, and sometimes with the anti-inflammatory properties of the antibiotics, people just want to start feeling better quicker. I get that, but in the long run, it's going to completely destroy your gut microbiome. And then 70 to 80% of your immune system comes from inside your gut. So if you're destroying that, then you're destroying your way to protect yourself. So I'm a big fan of keeping your gut microbiome intact.
Sure.
And there are products that I use for that as well that have been, clinically proven. So, um, That's important. And the other thing too, Dan, I don't know if you use this. What are your thoughts about glutathione? I like glutathione. It's the master antioxidant. It just really gets in there and mops up all the toxins. So I like to use a glutathione patch just to keep my glutathione levels natural instead of ingesting something. It is a form of phototherapy that just reflects the light back into your body and it naturally produces the glutathione. So, what are your thoughts about glutathione?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in it as well. I don't use patches, but again, getting it into the system, it's so important for the mitochondria
Right,
to have the
right,
impact of glutathione because that allows the energy to then be built. If you've got too much inflammation in your body, you're working so hard to try and fight off or break through
right, right.
inflammation that it's really hard then for it to go. So I'm a big believer in what you're saying there as well. I think
Mm-hmm.
that so something you said really important that I'm a big believer in was nutrition. You talk about the chemicals, the toxicity that we're putting into our body that's digesting right into our gut. And the
Yep.
body is having to fight that instead of working on keeping us healthy, it's trying to stop the toxicity building up. So, talk a little bit about nutrition because I think for me, it's probably the biggest change that somebody can make in their health, along with hydration. But
Mm-hmm.
nutrition is critical.
Absolutely. And that's something that I was not taught much in nursing school. I took one nutrition class, which was a pre-nursing class, and that was it. We mainly would have to learn about the medications and medications that would interact with certain things. And it just blows my mind that we were taught that. We were taught about the nutrition to a pill, but not the nutrition as a whole, as a body, as a person, and how what you put in your body is what your vibration is. And it's just such an overlooked part of wellness. And when I started going down this road of trying to figure out how God designed our healing to be by Him and simple things. I said, well, how could I miss nutrition? It's the key component. And so I did find a program that I really loved that uses all organic, regeneratively farmed products and food. It's live food. It comes to light or life as soon as you add some water. And you get it's just such an important part. If I feel like it's the foundation. If you don't have nutrition, then everything else can maybe help you. But if you really want the max potential of being your best true self and being in the best shape and everything, it's absolutely nutrition and everything else just adds to that symbiotically. But nutrition is absolutely the base. And it's unfortunate the standard American diet, I got caught up in it. And, I had so many health problems. And so it's just so important. I cannot stress it enough. And I'm glad to see that RFK is helping implement the medical schools start getting nutrition classes. So I hope that some of that changing can think and that they will allow these physicians more time to allot for education, or maybe they need to start bringing nurse educators onto staff and nurse coaching. I think everybody needs a nurse coach.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. Again, I've seen the effect of nutrition and getting that in order.
Yes.
And you're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
I believe with Born SuperHuman, we're born with the ability to heal. We're born to heal. We're born to thrive. We're born to, grow and get stronger
Yes.
in everything. But we've been numbed down and dumbed down over time to follow what suits other people best. In other words, the food industry that we know was bought out by the tobacco companies back in the 90s. And here was the tobacco company willing to put the drugs into cigarettes, creating
Right.
sickness and cancer, which we're going to come to. I'm very excited to get on the cancer conversation with you.
Oh, yes.
And then they exited, but they had already revealed, put drugs and chemicals in food, and people will become addicted to it. And anyone listening will know there's foods that don't even taste good when you first taste them, and then you become addicted to them and you want more
Yep.
because they're stopping the communication from the gut to the brain, saying, I'm full up. And so we keep eating. And when people say, well, look at what we know now, we know so much now And yet, if you look back to the health of the people in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you didn't have the cancer rates. You didn't have
No.
obesity. You didn't have the skin cancer from the sun. You didn't have the sickness coming from poor food. So that's a transition. I talked more than I wanted to. Let's bring it to cancer because that is such a dynamic topic. I've seen you
Hmm.
so focused and working with some incredible people now, and you've got some
Right.
exciting news that you're going to be sharing as well. So take us away on the cancer journey and what you've learned.
Well, the cancer journey advocacy for the cancer protocol all started in January of this year, where I actually had shared a screenshot a few months prior to January, just about where Dr. Makis, who's one of the co-authors of the protocol, said the future of cancer treatment starts now. And then he had a little article. And so I just took the screenshot, posted it on Instagram, not thinking anything about it. And then a couple months later, I get a new follower on my Instagram. At the time, I had maybe 400 followers, and um, I reached out to the person that followed me. I said, "What was your motivation or the inspiration for following me?" And the person said, "It's because you shared my protocol," and sent me the link to the protocol. And once I opened it up and realized who I was talking to, I said, "Wow, this is crazy. You're all the way in Algeria, and I'm in America. I didn't share a hashtag. I didn't mark you or tag you or even at you. I didn't know anything. I didn't know." And so here we are having a conversation, and he asked me to interview him live on Instagram, and I said, "Me?" Because I was not a social media user much. I couldn't use it much. I didn't know how to do a live. I didn't know anything about it. So I had to learn real quick how to do that. And so I'm interviewing him, did an interview with him once, and we did another one. And then the testimony started pouring out from Dr. Makis, what he was doing, even though he's been under so much scrutiny from the tyrannical gangster government in Canada. And he's just been under so much scrutiny, but he still is able, God willing, to help people with this protocol. Dr. Ilyas Bagli is the lead author. That's who I was talking to. The Hybrid Orthomolecular Protocol for Cancer, co-authored by Dr. Makis. And so I've just been creating content, trying to get the word out about the protocol. And I just knew that I just needed to share social media content to create it. I didn't know how, but I figured it out. So next thing you know, the collaborations continue. I start sending people over to my website that I created for a safe space for people that were able to go and get the list of the providers currently using the protocol, and anybody that also had any kind of COVID vaccine injury. I started compiling a list of that. All I know is that I wanted to get this information out. I wanted to keep everybody updated on the cancer movement. And then next thing you know, I see my friend Nurse Laura post a picture of her with this beautiful woman. And I said, "Oh, I just love the picture." And I saw the name in the background. It was this beautiful banner. It said Ezra Healing. And I reached out to Nurse Laura, sent her a message on video through Instagram, and I said, "Wow," I said, are they using the cancer protocol at that center? Because I want to add them to my list of people that I can refer to." And that was just on a Tuesday. And then on a Thursday, I didn't think anything of it. A couple days goes by, and I'm waking up, checking my messages on Instagram, and I get a message from Ezra Healing that just says, "Hi, Kerrie." And the next thing you know, we're chatting back and forth, and she said, "Do you know Nurse Laura?" And I said, "Oh, I thought that's why you reached out to me." I said, "Oh, did she tell you that I messaged her about you?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Oh, I don't think she's read it yet." So, uh, just by chance, by destiny, I ended up having the conversation with her. Next thing you know, here I am, and I am working with Ezra Healing directly. I will be one of the ivermectin nurses, and we'll be doing nurse coaching. So we'll be collaborating and working together to get this information about the protocol. We also just have asked Dr. Ilyas Bagli, lead author of the protocol, along with his beautiful beautiful wife, Lamia, to come to the United States to work with Ezra Healing. We are sponsoring a trip for him to come. So we're just working out the details right now with his visa so that we can get him over here and we can all sit down and in one room meet and hug each other for something that we've all been passionately working on the sides, but now we're actually brought together. So can you imagine what we'll be able to do together if we were able to do this on the side individually when we all come together, and
Mm.
what it's going to do and how many people are going to be helped? Because let's face it, the rates of cancer are up 88% in the United States alone over the last 30 years. Like, what is going on? So we have to have solutions. And we also know that the bioweapon is causing cancer. So that's not a conspiracy. There is a peer-reviewed paper that was just put out. The receipts are in. And so instead of us saying, I told you so, and I told you not to get it, this, that, and the other, it is a time to come together of healing. We need to have solutions. We are nurse focused on getting people better, and there's no judgment. We just want people to get better. We were the ones on the front line in 2020 telling you not to get it, saying don't follow the mandates. But here we are in 2025 saying, hey, what's done is done. We just want to heal the world. We are here to live together, to love, to create, to heal, and just to get through this next. This is a little bit of a war as more and more come down with this big diagnosis. So we want to be there on the front lines to help, because this treatment is not offered in hospitals. Florida did just announce 60 million that will be going into funding, but those could just be limited amount. We're not going to limit this treatment to anybody. If you want it, we have it. We know Dr. Makis has been giving these testimonies for a year and a half. And so as the clinical studies continue to go on, we're just going to continue to have these treatment options available to individuals if they want them, because not everybody wants the traditional way. And so we are creating that other way.
It's interesting because one of my greatest mentors ever, a gentleman by the name of Gary Austin, he had cancer for many, many years. And when he finally passed, I was very fortunate enough to be with him in his hospital room the day before he passed. And he's got some great memories. And Gary was the founder of the Groundlings. He was an incredible improviser and teacher, even better than he was an improviser. But he didn't die of cancer. He died of pneumonia. And I think so
Yeah.
many times people with cancer going through the chemo end up tearing
Yeah.
apart their immune system, and they become victims of another, in this case, pneumonia or another disease or sickness that they can't fight
Right.
back. You've seen cancer obviously a lot through your career, or people that come in hospitals. What's so special about this? Because there'll be a lot of people that I've spoken to. I'm a big believer that we can cure cancer, we can overcome cancer as well by
Right.
right protocols. But a lot of people are too scared to not follow what has also had some success. We can't turn around and say chemo never has success. It
Right.
does. So, what is it special about this treatment? And what stories, what proof have you got that this does work?
Yes, so just from the testimonies that Dr. Makis is putting out, it shows that these patients are having their cancer reversed, go into remission, and not come back. And there's no side effects that are being reported. What I traditionally see in the hospital setting is patients that are urinating on themselves, they're defecating on themselves, they can't eat. Um, they're bedridden and they're not able to work. They lose their dignity in the hospital. Then they're being subjected to all of these toxic chemicals that are literally, I'm watching them die in front of me. It's so inhumane, which is the reason why it's so difficult to be in that environment, knowing that there are alternative ways that people can help heal. And what's so special about this protocol is just, well, first off, it's the expense. A round of chemo can cost $45,000. Who has $45,000 to stay alive? And not only are they expensive, the side effects are horrendous. And, so there, the side effects, the cost, and then the fact that this treatment, the ivermectin and the old repurposed medications, they're actually getting to the cancer stem cell, which chemotherapy and radiation can get to the outer layer and kill the cancer, but it's not going deep, penetrating into the cancer stem cells and getting rid of the cancer stem cells. So that's why the cancer comes back. So we have been seeing folks do combination with radiation and chemo and using the old repurposed medications, but then there's others that just are using the old repurposed medications along with the other treatment modalities in the protocol, such as hyperbaric oxygen therapy, keto diet, high doses of vitamins, those kinds of things. So I mean, at the end of the day, you want the treatment that hopefully will keep you out of the hospital and you can still live with dignity and still go to your job every day and not have to hand over the deed to your house. So it's really so it definitely has got caught the eye of the government of Florida enough for them to invest $60 million into cancer research. So the word is out. I know Mel Gibson was on Joe Rogan's podcast not that long ago, and or Mel was telling Joe how he had several friends with stage 4 cancer completely reversed. There's testimonies all over the internet, and I know these people are telling the truth. And I'm just ready for this treatment to get in the hospitals. But in the meantime, that could take that could take a while. Right now, it's just going to be in the investigational stages. So right now, we are offering individuals a place to come now where you don't have to wait, and it's called Right to Try. There is something that Donald Trump put into law, and it's called the Right to Try Act. And it's where individuals do have the right to try certain other treatments. It's not even just the ivermectin as an alternative treatment. There's so many alternative therapies out there, CBD and microdosing mushrooms, and there's so many different treatment modalities. And I think at the end of the day, individuals just need to know what their options are, not just this is your only choice, take it or leave it.
Right.
Let them choose the ways that they want to heal that are best for them and who the practitioner that they jive with or they vibe with or whatever, not just going to the hospital and being offered one treatment, or excuse me, three. Your choices right now in the hospital: chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, rinse, repeat. Those are your choices. So we just want to be able to offer other choices for individuals.
So what's the name of the protocol that you are offering?
So the protocol that we're offering, we're basically using Dr. Ilyas Bagli's hybrid orthomolecular protocol for cancer. So it's where you use the repurposed medications, vitamins, high doses of vitamins, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, dietary changes. You got to get rid of the sugar. And I'm going to be frank, we don't want individuals coming that aren't going to be willing to make the lifestyle changes. We want you all on board and to understand that this isn't where you go to your doctor and they give you a pill and don't tell you about diet, or excuse me, about lifestyle changes. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to getting on this cancer protocol. It's not just, simple medication and that's it. You have to be willing to make the changes. So that's who we're gearing towards as well. So we are using that protocol, and it depends. I mean, we're also using that protocol for individuals that want to do a deep cleanse, or if they're kind of where their health isn't the best, there's a protocol for that. Then there's a protocol for autoimmune, and then you move on to the cancer stuff, and then kind of stay at a baseline. So there are different things that are offered, but what they are using is the protocol, Dr. Ilyas Bagli's protocol, that the one that most individuals have seen Dr. Makis have tremendous, amazing results with.
Yeah, it's fascinating because, again, I'm a big believer that, we've seen the studies on vitamin C and how it can attack cancer.
Yep.
See so many things out there that we're not told about, even to support what we're going through and looking after health. It's also hard, though, for people to turn around and say, well, I'm going to trust this protocol with my life until there's more proven research. And I know you already have so much about it.
Right.
What is the process? Like how, and again, everyone's in different stages. So someone in stage 1 compared to stage 4, it's a different journey theoretically. But what is the time frame normally people will come in? And I will preface, or before we get into that, talk about The magic we seek is in the work we avoid. We want to win the battle, but we don't want to go into discomfort. We don't want to have to change what we're doing. And that's where the failing comes in. Because if
Right.
people are willing to do the work, the results are incredible. But if you want to keep eating the sugar, want to keep having the sodas, want to keep having the cake, and then have my cake and eat it, and yet you think a tablet's going to change it, that's probably how you got the cancer in the first place, was from the toxicity creating the cellular change and activation. So, what is the time
Right.
frame roughly? How does that work?
It just depends on the cancer, what the diagnosis is, what type of cancer, what stage, and just there's so many different factors. And so there are different doses based on what stage cancer and what type of cancer it is. So that's basically how they decide what the doses will be. So there is a protocol that is followed. And you're right, getting back to the whole thing about just the consumption of sugar and the sugary drinks and the cake and wanting your cake and eating it too. A lot of it too, though, is that it's a conscious choice to what you're putting in your body. I think that some individuals are just kind of in that state where they're not consciously making the decisions, they're making them subconsciously and just out of being like programmed, if you will, just kind of going through the motions. But when I started going on my healing journey, I really had to say, I had to really consciously think about the people I was putting myself around, the foods that I was eating, and the music I was listening to. I started to realize consciously on a level that everything around me was affecting my well-being. And so if you don't know what you don't know, and that's what we're hoping to achieve at Ezra Wellness, like let's have this come to Jesus moment. Like, hey, you have to be able to get rid of what made you sick in order to feel better. And so some people just need that coming to Jesus, which you will not find that a lot when you go to your regular doctor. Your doctor may not address the fact that your habits could be improved, or that you're overweight or whatever, because those are difficult conversations to have. And so that's the great thing about us being so truthful. All of us have stood up to lies, and we tell the truth and we advocate. And so we hope that that will make individuals feel safe in order to come to their truth. And there's no judgment, and everybody's on a different level as far as their path spiritually. Everybody's in a different place. And so as long as we are working together and coming together in love and harmony and just really understanding and just standing in truth, we're hoping that that's something that's special about us that we bring to the table that nobody else does.
One
So
of
it's
the
nurse driven.
No, it's great. And one of the things is that what you're creating and teaching and guiding is for people to be interdependent, right? They're not going to be dependent on you. They're individually dependent, and then just follow the protocols that are given to them for longevity in health, not, okay, let's fix this problem and then come back with the next one coming. And I think that's
Right.
so invaluable, is that we're teaching people, you're teaching people, is what I do with Born Superhuman, how to let the body and the health and the brain and the mindset take care of the future, so that we're
Yes.
living life, not just existing.
That is exactly it. And we want individuals to feel empowered. Being empowered is such an amazing thing, because once you have that empowerment, you're living in your authenticity. And just like you said, it's your mind, it's all in your mindset too. So that's one of the things I appreciate about you so much, Dan, is always reminding how important mindset is.
Right? It's critical. And then we look at it and say, because there's no long-term benefit to the treatment, in other words, you're going to keep coming back every week for the next 50 years. The hard part is a lot of people don't have the time, or don't take the time to go and get educated themselves. And so when they find somebody they can trust, that's
Right,
done the research or lived it and gone through it, like myself and like yourself as well,
right.
where we've actually gone to the bottom of the valley, and the mountain looks even higher up there. It's like a daunting task, but you come through it and find yourself so much better. Like, I even look at how you look now compared to our first podcast. You're glowing more. And I say
Thank
age is,
you.
you're most welcome. Age is never the reason for decline.
No,
It's what we do.
age is just a number. It's just I don't feed into it. I don't go through that ritual of turning a number every year. I feel better now at 50 than I did when I was in my 20s. And so when you said to me that I look younger, I feel younger than when I was first on your show several months back. And I just feel like I'm getting younger and younger by the day as I continue to have all these doors open, that God is open, bringing all these wonderful people into my life that are just, they inspire me. They want me to be better. Everybody's growing. Everybody is growing. And getting back to what you said about, you know, about you having to go through your own healing journey, and I've had to go through my own healing journey. And I know the nurses at Ezra as well have gone through their own healing journey. And that's what is so inspiring about wanting to get better, because you know it's possible, because we've all been rock bottom with our health. And so seeing that whole, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. And just, we're real authentic people. We're not Hollywood stars. We are real, true people that are living in our authenticity, and people just want to be able to relate to individuals, and nobody can relate to the Kardashians of the world. They want true people that they can relate to. So just watching your journey, Dan, has been amazing, and how better now than before.
Oh, hugely. And loving it. And that's the beautiful thing as well. All the nurses that you have at Ezra, with yourself being so dynamic, they also have a base foundation over many, many years of
Yes.
conventional medicine. So it's not like someone coming up with something new. It's like, how do we take what did work and add to it? And how do we remove what didn't work? And that we saw, because you were seeing people coming in every day, and I'm sure many people leaving in body bags, that you felt now with the knowledge you got didn't have to be that way. You're going to say
Well,
something.
it's just moral injury. When you see things happen and you know that things could be done better, it takes a toll. And when I finally do leave the hospital, I'm going to be in a healing process myself, because those are some of the things that you can't heal until you get out of it. It's like being in an abusive relationship. You can think that you're healed, but until you're out of that situation and you look back and you say, wow, it was really that bad. It is an abusive relationship through and through. Working in the hospital is one of the most toxic places somebody can work. Not just because of all the individuals that are around you that are sick and they're low vibration because they're sick. We are subjected to overhead air, these terrible lights, these lights that are terrible for our circadian rhythm, and all of the toxins, the soaps that we wash our hands with, the air we're breathing while they're washing everything down with bleach. We're breathing all that in. We're being subjected to all the Wi-Fi, all the EMF. And then you've got the chat, the text, the chatting between so many individuals that are on the team for a patient. And then you have five patients and you're watching the chat go crazy while you have a patient calling for pain medicine. It's it's overwhelming, and there's no way that one person can do all that. And
Mhm.
telling you with the chat system, and then when you don't read it right away, individuals start to get offended. So then they start lashing out on you. They think that you're ignoring them, and you're literally just trying to tread water because you're trying to give some compassion to somebody in one of the rooms down the hall, and you want to be able to listen to what they have to say, but they're you're getting kind of, I guess, getting the diss because you don't look at the chat, and then the phone's ringing, and then the radio's going off. I'm telling you, it is one of the most toxic. I don't know how I've done it for so long, to be honest with you, and how coming into this office space that I'm sitting in right now, that will be the future of Ezra Healing Space in St. Pete, sitting here in a room with incense and energy with wonderful people, and it smells so good in here, and just being around this environment it's so healing. And I'm sitting here thinking about the energy at the hospital, and Again, I don't know how I did it for so long. And nurses, they go in there and they last a year and they're gone because of all that. So I don't know how I did it, to be honest.
Yeah, and I will say thank goodness for hospitals because if we didn't have them, then and I look back to Florence Nightingale, who was the British nurse that was so well known because of the care and love, and that's why people like yourself went into nursing. It's just the system's changed. Hospitals have been great for
Mhm.
many, many years,
Right.
and it is a place to go when you feel sick. You always felt safe going there. But this is what hit me while you were talking. With the new direction you're going, with Ezra Healing, with the new protocols, you're giving people an opportunity to actually take control of their own lives. Because I know when you go into hospital, stay in bed, don't do this. When my mother had a stroke, my mother's a doctor. When she had a stroke, she didn't go to hospital for the first 9 days because she knew they'd put her in bed, stop her from moving, have to put her on these drugs, this protocol that fits everybody. But she knew the most important thing was to keep moving. Because as soon as she
Right.
stopped moving, the system starts shutting down. And that's why people are permanently disabled after a stroke because they don't move quick enough.
Mm.
What you're doing is instead of saying to someone, go in bed, this is the drugs, we're coming, don't move, get bored, don't work on your health, you're actually giving people the opportunity to take control of their own health, make the decisions for themselves with factual and guided practice. And what's better than when you're sick, feeling that you have some part of the control of your health as well? I mean, that's what really hit me as you were talking. People are going to have the opportunity to do the best for themselves.
And that's a wonderful thing. That's freedom. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, it's dynamic. So I know when are you starting Ezra Healing? For people that want to follow you or want to learn more and get more information, tell us about the new opportunity that's opening up for you. I believe you're going to be starting there in December.
Actually, I think I had a typo. So the start date is November 17th.
Fantastic.
And yeah, so I'm excited for that. And we'll be doing some training later in the week to test blood, some blood analysis services that we will be offering. So we'll need to get trained on that. So I'm really looking forward to learning that. Super excited. My nerd brain kicks in. And so yeah, so that's all going that same week.
And that's going to be in St. Petersburg.
So there will be a brick and mortar place, yes, in St. Petersburg, Florida, but the services are also available online, and you can get the services available to you online at ezrahealing.com. And from there, you can get ivermectin, fenbendazole, mebendazole, high dose vitamins. And then you can also, at that time, you can sign up to work with a nurse directly who will give you the appropriate doses that will guide you. You'll have access to that nurse for 3 months. And it's like your own private nurse, which is so freaking cool for any questions. Um, so that's just a separate service that is offered. And I highly recommend that because I think, or I know, in order to be successful, you need that support. You need a sense of community. You need someone that's going to be cheering you on and not just, here's your pill, have a nice day.
Hmm.
Let's have the conversations. Let's do some lifestyle changes. So that's what we offer. So, and then in the brick and mortar, we will have some other services such as sauna, red light therapy, that kind of stuff that will be available local. But you don't have to live in St. Pete or be local to get the services. You can just jump online and it'll be myself or one of the rogue nurses of 2020. One of us will be there. So my thing is that don't you want to hang out with the people that are going to look out for you and advocate you? And when something's not right, we'll point it out. So we're here for you, and I'm here for it. So excited for this opportunity. It's such a blessing, and just the way it all fell into place. These are doors only God can open. That's all I have to say. You,
Yeah,
you can't explain any of it.
I want to add to that because the word road nurses has a negative connotation because you were given that because you wouldn't follow the protocols. I would
Right.
change that to angel nurses because people listening have to understand those title of rogue nurses because you were
Hmm.
rebellious was because you truly cared about people's lives and refused to follow the protocols that were killing people. And so that's where you came together as a community. I just want to explain that to people that this is a positive, empowering group of nurses and doctors that are coming
Yep.
in to say, we're here to heal you, not put you into the medical system. The other thing I want to say here as well, I've done a number of online tests, if that's the right way to say it. And I have to say, they're as good as if you went into the hospital themselves. So don't think because it's online, oh, it's not as personal. Modern technology, the way things are done now, the testing you can get online is dynamic. But the biggest thing that I would say coming from my side, and feel free to talk about this, Kerrie, taking
Right.
action early is the most important for health. You don't want to wait until you're fully sick to reach out and get advice. I think you've got to go, okay,
Hmm.
something's not right. Let's just
Right.
have a conversation. Let's find someone because I don't want to get really sick and then have to recover because the greatest recovery comes from the earliest starting point before it becomes, where you're now living with a problem.
Yeah, so the analogy I like to use is you get smoke signals, your body's telling you something's wrong, and you medicate, you self-medicate with whatever, and next thing you know, the fire is in full swing, and that's when I have a lot of individuals reach out to me now about the program that I coach individuals on, and they come to me basically the fire's there and now they want to know what's next. So it's harder to turn things around. It's not impossible. I am living proof of that. It's not impossible. It's just much easier to turn the sinking ship around when it's not as full of water, right? So if you are listening to this and you need your sign to start really working on your wellness and how you feel, this is it. Start now. Don't wait until you get the smoke signals or even the fire because it's just harder. It's just harder to deal with.
Yeah, my sister Becky, she went through the worst 3 years of her life because she couldn't find the
Yeah.
right people to help her get better. They just want to put her on more drugs and it wasn't their effect. So let's up the dose. Let's put you on a different drug. Let's multiple drug you. And she knew that wasn't the issue. And when she finally found people that actually were invested in her, you're not a number, you're not a statistic, you're a real person. Everyone listening to this,
Right.
I see everybody. You're not a number and you have a right to heal. You will become your environment. So put yourself in the best place with people that are going to call you by your name. They're going to get to know you, that are truly
Right.
invested in you and your health. Because the greatest things for me is when I've coached people, I see them 30 years later living the life that they wanted to live, but
That's
didn't know how to
amazing.
get there. You don't have to stay in contact every day. It's about knowing the help, and they'll never forget either because of the impact you had. Where can people find you? Say up, and oh, I got to say this as well. You're the first person I had on here twice. I would love you
Yes.
to come back in 6 months' time for a third once you've got the whole Ezra healing going.
Yes.
Tell us how it's going. Give us some stories of people that have come in that were resistant to give up the
Mm.
hospital, but instead found the miracle.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait to tell the stories of healing. So if you want to find me on Instagram, I am or excuse me, I am at beyond.the.matrix.nurse. And from there, I do have a link in my bio that takes me or that will take you to my website. And from my website, I have, if you would like to sign up for my subscription to my newsletter, where I am giving the most up-to-date, latest to greatest information on the cancer protocol and what's happening with that. And then I also send you the information about Ezra Healing, so you can get it that way. Or if you want to just go directly to Ezra Healing, go to ezrahealing.com where you can be connected right now with the services that we spoke about. So there's different ways to get access.
What's your website?
My website is www.beyondthematrixwellness.com.
Okay, great. So again, people can go there to sign up for the newsletter. It's been a
Yep.
fascinating conversation as always. I love your direct,
Yes,
I love your mission. I love the fact that you truly love people. And this isn't about anyone in particular, it's about everyone individually.
that's right. It's about healing humanity one by one. Dan, thank you so much. So much love to you. Can't wait to
Always.
do it again.
I'll see you in 6 months' time, but I'll be following you
Sounds
way
good.
before that.
We'll be in touch for sure.
Sounds great. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.